Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome back to my hobby blog. I am very excited because I have a lot of updates. I wasn't able to get a video out last week. I just did not have the energy. So I'm going to combine the 2 weeks, which I think will be a lot of fun for viewers because there's going to be a lot to talk about. I watched a lot of movies in theaters the last 2 weeks, about 2 of them, which is a lot to me. But one of them was a rewatch that I just fucking love. It's one of my favorite movies. And I'll get into that first, but I'm also going to give a One Piece update because I am having a lot of fun, and I will then go into my book reviews. I have 3 books that I finished in the last 2 weeks. Well, I would say I finished 2 books, and I read a lot of short stories, and I'll go into that when I get to it. But first, I want to talk about the movies I watched. So, me and my dad, we really enjoy the Bob Odenkirk actor. We really love Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul. So, when Bob Odenkirk started doing action movies with Nobody and then most recently Nobody 2, we went and saw it. And I rewatched the first one the day before, I believe, or the morning of, I can't remember. But I rewatched it, and I still feel like it's a pretty good movie. I enjoy it. The action is fun, but I feel like it's a little too restrained, I will say, as an action movie. And I really enjoy the actors in it. Bob Odenkirk's amazing. RZA from Wu-Tang Clan is in it, and he's amazing. But I feel like the soundtrack isn't really that exciting. It doesn't really push the story. It's very much a contrast to John Wick, because John Wick is this international assassin. He's very skilled, and Bob Odenkirk's character, he's probably the other side of that. We don't really know his past. All we really know is that he's really deadly, and he uses violence as a last resort. And so that's really interesting to me, because in these movies, he just keeps getting pushed until finally he snaps, and that's when he just has a great, tsunami of violence, is how I can describe it, and people get really injured. There's a lot of blood, and it's practical blood. One of my least favorite things in movies is when they use CGI blood. I feel like it completely neuters the violence when you do that. Just use some blood jets. Like, it's more fun for the actors too, makes it more real. And in terms of the second one, I feel like it was a much better movie. I really, really enjoyed it. And I would say that they really ratcheted up the violence in it, and the action as well. I mean, it was just action set piece after action set piece. And in between those action, we had really great, like, family moments, because Bob Odenkirk is taking his family on a vacation to a site that his father used to take him to a lot, and he wants to sort of build back the family. And they get to this town, and it's just run by the most corrupt pieces of shits ever. And we have some really fun scenes where Bob Odenkirk is exploring the town, and he goes into the bar and the arcade, and is sort of like meeting all of our characters in the cast, all of the villains. Everyone has their role. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed Nobody 2. And I'm really hopeful that they will just keep escalating in the third one, if they do a third one. I think they will, because there was a lot of, like, this is a lot you can do with this type of story and this character. And I hope they do continue. John Wick has 4 movies, and I love all of them. I think it gets better and better, although I do really love the first 2, which is what everyone says is like the best movies in the John Wick franchise, but I believe that the entire franchise is just awesome. So I don't really get how people say that 3 and 4 are ridiculous. Like, yeah, they are ridiculous, but they were ridiculous from the very first movie, and I think they just really started to have more fun, and I think that's okay. I love that. I love that they went for the fun. But I also went and saw the 4K remaster of Shin Godzilla. I have the Blu-ray here that I've had for like a decade now, because the movie came out about a decade ago, 2014, I think. And I love this movie. I've reviewed it before on my channel way back in the day, like 3 or 4 years ago when I first made this channel. And I still have the same feelings. I still fucking love it. I still really, really enjoy sort of all of the characters and sort of the slow escalation, because right off the bat, we're in modern Tokyo, and we have a big sort of geyser of water that goes up, and they're trying to figure out what is going on, and there's blood in it, and they're like, hey, maybe it's a creature, but everyone's like, oh, you're ridiculous, it's not a creature. And then the moment they say that, the next shot is very tiny Godzilla, like, getting onto land, and he has this awesome, like, puppet, like, head that's just googly eyes. It's just the fucking cutest fucking Godzilla ever. Like, he's awesome. And from then on, it's just them trying to adjust their plans, trying to deal with Godzilla, trying to minimize damage, which is really great too, because it's from the perspective of the government. And the main character is a character who starts very low in the ladder of the government. And as the movie goes on, he just keeps building and building and building. And as the movie goes on, his title gets longer. And soon enough, it just covers half of the screen. It's really funny. I really love this movie. And I hope more people watch it. But the 4K remaster in theaters was absolutely amazing. I loved having the full surround sound. Nobody else was in the theater. No one was there. It was just me. So I was very happy to just be by myself, enjoying the movie. The stereo system was at its best, finally. The theater that I go to in North Carolina, it's very hit or miss. Sometimes the projector screen has like a blue tint in like the middle 50% of the screen, and it's like looks great on the 25% like on the left and 25% on the right. And it's very frustrating. I hate the theater, usually. But it was really great while we were watching Nobody 2, and then when I watched Shin Godzilla. So I'm very thankful. Maybe they finally did some repairs. I don't know. But I really enjoyed it, and I also was really surprised, because I've seen this movie like a dozen times since it's come out. I watch it multiple times a year. It's just that great of a movie. And I was really shocked, because one of the scientist characters I recognized, but I never really thought about it. There's just so many Japanese movies that I've seen, so many Japanese stars that I love and that I know the names of, that I was just kind of like, oh, like, it'll come to me at some point, like, who this guy is. I'm too lazy to look it up. Like, I'm gonna watch it again. Maybe it'll hit me, this watch. And it finally did, and it ended up being the amazing director, one of my favorite Japanese directors from the 90s and on, Shinya Tsukamoto. If you don't know him, he did movies like Tetsuro the Iron Man, which is a very famous cult movie that is very sort of cyberpunk and very bloody. It's just amazing. I love Tetsuro the Iron Man, but I also love Tokyo Fist, which is sort of like a Rocky, not really remake, but it's like Shinya Tsukamoto doing Rocky. And I love it. It's really violent. It's very bloody. It's really sort of escalated in terms of the violence, and it's amazing. I love those movies. I haven't seen all of his movies. I have a really nice box set of his movies, and I should have took it off the wall before doing this review so I could show it, but it's whatever. I've seen about half of his movies at this point, and they're just all amazing. Some of them are a little hit or miss because in terms of personal enjoyment, because they're much slower and it's sort of more of a meditative movie. But that's okay. It was really fun to see him in Shin Godzilla, though. He has an amazing scarf that he always has around his shoulders, and he's always sort of like trying to figure out like what's going on with Godzilla, and it's amazing. I love this movie. It's amazing. But in terms of books, first of all, One Piece. So my update on One Piece is I'm halfway done with Egghead. I put out my Wano review last week, who I talked with a friend of mine, Matthias. He's a veteran of the series. He's caught up, and it was a lot of fun talking with him. I really hope that more people watch it, because the views are a little low on it, but at the same time, it is the Wano arc, so it's really far into the series. The third to last arc before the current one. And I want to say that it's not my favorite arc. It's definitely not top 10 for me, so I understand if not as many people are interested in watching it, but there was a lot of really great moments in in that arc. I mean, not the series. I mean, the whole series is fucking 9.5 out of 10. It's amazing. But I really enjoyed the Wano arc in terms of its highs, because I really felt like the Wano arc was its highs were the highest that the series had, and its lowest was just the absolute lowest of the series. And so it kind of balanced out to the middle, sort of how I felt. And I think I gave it like an 8.5, 8. I don't even know if it feels bad saying that. I feel like it should be like a 7 out of 10 for the Wano arc. So I feel bad because I know a lot of people rank it as the number one, at least people I talk to, and I just don't understand that. I felt like most of this arc felt like filler. Oda really did not develop a lot of things that were associated with Wano that he developed before the arc and sort of set up, and I thought there was going to be progress in that, and there was none of it, and it was really disappointing. Me and Matthias talked about it a lot, so if you want to know more, please go watch that video. But I've finished the One Piece. I finished the final episode last night, and now I'm on chapter 1090. So I will be going to the manga now. I'm very excited for it, but I'm going to miss the animation a lot. It definitely feels like I'm in the next phase of my One Piece journey, because now I'm just going to catch up even faster, because I read much faster than I do watching. Because usually when I watch, I'm having to pause it, take notes, pause it, take notes, and it's really not conducive. So the way I'm going to do my notes for Egghead and how I've been doing it is chapter by chapter. And I only put down the absolute highlights and the most important story moments. And so what I've been doing, or what I will be doing for the manga section of Egghead, is I'm going to read the chapter straight through. And then I'm going to go back to the beginning of the chapter and write notes. That way I can read it a little faster and enjoy it more, because when I was doing Berserk, which I haven't read in like half a year, and I feel really bad because I love that series. And I want to get back into it, but I finished the Conviction arc, and I was like, okay, like, Millennium, I don't want to say Millennium Falcon, I guess that's the name of the arc. It's as long as Golden Age, and I'm not ready for that yet. So I wanted to kind of go through One Piece. And now that I'm almost done, I will be starting Berserk again. I'm very excited for that. I'm on volume 22, I believe. And I do have the first 2 deluxe editions of the Berserk series, so up to volume 6. So I kind of want to reread those in order to like get it on my shelf, get it off my TBR pile. But at the same time, I kind of want to catch up to the end and sort of go back from the beginning and maybe do like a chapter by chapter series. I don't know if there's any interest in that, but that is something I'm thinking about doing. So if you're interested in that, please let me know, and I'll be more motivated to do it. But for now, I'm sort of just focused on One Piece. Once I'm caught up with that, I'm going to go chapter by chapter. Maybe a live reaction, I don't know. But I'm very excited to be caught up almost to One Piece, because I'm going to be able to be part of the fandom now, because I've been very much hands-off in terms of the fandom, because I don't want to get spoiled. I've been spoiled on a lot of things, like, right before they happen, but it's always been, like, very tiny things that I felt like was going to happen anyway, so I was kind of like, ooh, I can't wait to see it. But, I'm very excited. So, in terms of books that I read, first book that I finished was this one here by Ian Esselmont, which is book 4 of the novels of the Malazan Empire, Orb, Scepter, Throne. And this is the hardback cover that I got from Thrift Books that I talked about a few weeks ago. And I will say that overall, I enjoyed this book. I will say that my issues with it continue from Stone Wielder, which is there's a lot of politicking and sort of staying in one place. But I really enjoyed the location of this, which is Darujistan. And I loved returning to that city because all of the characters, even the new ones, all of them I'm interested in. And there's a lot of plots that I didn't actually care about in this book, but I was enjoying the characters enough that it didn't get in my way. of my enjoyment. So I enjoyed this one a lot more than Stone Wielder, but I will say that it was not as fulfilling of a read because I thought there was going to be a lot of conclusions to a lot of plot lines and sort of wrap ups for storylines, as I said. But it sort of just ends right in the middle of everything, and that's how every Malazan book feels. So I shouldn't be like surprised by this, but I was very annoyed where at the end of the book I felt like we didn't really progress at all. And I really, really enjoyed, though, the storyline of Kiska, Taishrin, and Leomin of the Flails, which was just so awesome because this book takes place after book 10 of Malazan. So it's really great to see all these characters, and I'm very excited to sort of see where they go next because this was the storyline that really pissed me off at the end because I was really enjoying it, and then the book ended, and I was like, no, I want to keep reading. But all the other plot lines I wasn't really as taken to. I really enjoyed seeing Kaladin Brood again. It's amazing seeing him, but I was really disappointed by how little he was in the plot and sort of on page because I was just really looking forward to seeing what he was up to, and we didn't really get any answer. We got some answers, but not much progression in that regard. It was amazing, though. Absolutely amazing to see Krupp again. He's one of my favorite characters in Malazan, and especially in Book 1, because Book 1, I feel like Krupp, some people argue that he's sort of like a filler character, but I feel like he is one of the most important characters in terms of sort of always facilitating convergences. And I really love seeing him again, and he doesn't waffle as much, which I miss. Maybe it's sort of the writing style difference between Stephen and Ian. But I really enjoyed seeing all of these characters again. We see Antsy again. We see Hollow, which was interesting. We see, Pika and Blend. It was great to see them. Trying to remember all the characters. It's been about a week or two since I finished it, so I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm very excited to have finished it because a lot of people say it's the favorite, and I can see that, but I think I still rank Return of the Crimson God as my favorite Ian Esselmont book in the Malazan world because just all of the characters I loved. I love the plot. I love the action set pieces. I love the world building. It was just amazing, and this book felt more like a coming back home type of book. So I'm very excited to see where Ian goes in the final 2 books. I don't have Acel, which is the final book, but I do have book 5, Blood and Bone. So I don't know when I'll read it, I'll be honest. I'll go into that more when I talk about what I'm going to read for the rest of the week because it's very relevant. But I was really also excited to finish this book here because I don't know if I'm going to continue this series anymore, but it's Warhost of Vastmark by Jenny Wirtz. This is book 3 of the Wars of Light and Shadow. I gotta be honest, as much as I love the characters and the magic system and the world building, it's getting over my head at this point because I'm not enjoying this book anymore. It was a real slog to get through. Although it only took me 4 or 5 days to finish, it felt like it took 50 days. And I felt like my eyes glazed over so much more during this book because the descriptions were just so complex and so hard to imagine and also very deep in terms of the prose. It was just very hard for me to stay engaged. And it really felt like I'm trying to think of a similar book, that way people sort of know what I'm talking about, but maybe like Hania's trilogy. I have a review of that trilogy from like way back when I first made this channel, but my main issue with that book was that it was over long and it felt like, well, I wouldn't say, I'm trying to think, maybe it's like Robert Jordan. You know, Robert Jordan's a really good comparison in what I'm trying to talk about because the way that Jenny Wirtz just goes on and on with her descriptions, as much as I love the prose and I think it's some of the most beautiful writing I've read, it's really hard for me because the vocabulary of this book is so above my head. And I feel like I'm a very learned person. I have a master's degree. I've been reading since I was like 7 years old, and I've never stopped. And I am having trouble understanding what is going on in this book. And it's interesting because John from Talking Story, I was talking to him in his comment section around the time when I started Warhost of Vastmark. And I kind of told him about it, and he was like, hey, give me a book report. And so I do plan on following up with him, but I was really disappointed because he was really hyping this book up. He said it was his favorite book, and I still feel like book one is my favorite because that was the one I understood the most. And I feel like maybe because I've heard that the third book, Warhost of Vastmark, closes an arc, and I'm wondering whether I need to reread the first two books or something, or these three books, or just continue on and sort of continue to be confused and hope I can pick up the threads. Because that's how I felt with Wheel of Time for the first three books, but at a much lesser degree. Because Wheel of Time, the first three books, I felt like I had a really great handle and I just kind of went with the flow. I surrendered to the source. But I really could not do that with this book because I felt like I had to focus so deeply on every single word and how she was constructing the sentence. Like, my English degree, I don't have an English degree, but I really enjoy taking English classes because I love going through texts and studying them and breaking them down and trying to see how they work and what works for me and what doesn't work for me. I love that shit. And this book makes my brain go to 150% on that. And I can't focus on just having fun with the book. And so I'm very curious to know what people think of that who have read this book, because I have a really hard time. Well, I want to say, I'm trying to think what I want to say, but I have a really easy time finding something I love in every book that I read. And I've been reading a lot of books lately that have sort of fell into the 6 to 7 out of 10. And I'm really, after this book, I really felt like I need to return to my 9 out of 10s and maybe even 10 out of 10 books that I love, because I haven't reread a book in a very long time. I've been rereading The Way of Redan by Philip Chase, which is on audiobook, because I won one of the 10 giveaway codes, and I'm almost done with it. I have like 1 or 2 chapters left. I'm buddy reading it with Books, Beverages, and Besties. I think I got that in the right order. Apologies if I didn't, but we haven't really set a date yet for that discussion. It's going to be us three and then Philip Chase joining us. I'm very excited for that because I love book one. I'm loving it even more on reread, and I'm really excited to talk about it with other people, and especially the author, which is not something I ever do. I never really have the chance to talk to Jenny Wirtz, Stephen Erickson, Robert Jordan, of course, all these great authors, Gene Wolfe. Like, that's not something that happens. So I'm very blessed and grateful to Philip that he is willing to discuss, his books with me. It's such an honor. And it's also fun because, I love talking books, and that's just something I really enjoy. But I also read this week a few short stories by H.P. Lovecraft, which are, because this is a not compilation, but a collection of 20 of his short stories, his supposed best 20. And the ones I read was Call of Cthulhu, The Color Out of Space, The Lurking Fear, The Music of Eric Zahn, and finally Dagon. And I want to say that my favorite 2 of them was The Color Out of Space and Dagon. They were absolutely amazing. Call of Cthulhu was my 3rd favorite out of those 5. So I want to read about a quarter of the book every time I read it, which is about 5 short stories, because it's 20, so I've just been 5 at a time reading. But I really, really love the atmosphere of Call of Cthulhu as well. I really enjoy the writing of this. I will say it's a little annoying that there's like next to no dialogue in the short stories. I think Color Out of Space was really the only one that had more than like a few lines of dialogue. But that one was the shortest at 6 pages. So it was really, really short. But I love the movie adaptations of Dagon and also Color Out of Space. So I was very happy to sort of read the source material. And it's very, very close to the movies as well, which I was very surprised by. I think Dagon was 3 pages. It was very short. But I just really love the world building that H.P. Lovecraft does. I really hate the racism in his books, though. I think it's Call of Cthulhu that has the most racism in it so far that I've read, but I know it's just going to continue through every single one of his short stories, which is not something I'm looking forward to. It's something that I hate, but he's from the 1920s, and he was pretty controversial back in his day on top of that. He was just extremely racist. There's a great documentary on him on YouTube that I've watched that sort of goes through his life and tries to sort of shine a light on why he was the way he was. And it's really fascinating, but I've never read his stories. I love the adaptations. I love all the adaptations that Stuart Gordon has done. Reanimator, which is one of the short stories in that collection, is Herbert West Reanimator. And I love that movie. It's one of my favorite. Jeffrey Combs is amazing. I love Barbara Crampton. Everyone in that movie is just amazing. But I'm really excited to continue on. But I've been sort of reading it in between these bigger books. Just when I don't feel like starting a new book, I'm like, I'll just read a few short stories. I never read short stories. So it's something I want to do more. So, but I think I've reviewed all the books. So currently what I'm reading is I'm in a book club with my sister. And the book that was chosen was John Krakauer's Into the Wild. I had to get the name right. I'm really enjoying this. I've seen the movie about a decade ago, whenever it came out. Maybe 15 years ago it came out. And I enjoy it. It's fun. It's really interesting to sort of get the real life sort of timeline, because I thought this was a sort of narrative about the guy. But it's more like I guess it's more of a like month by month summarization of what he went through. And maybe it does turn into a narrative at some point in the book. I'm only about a quarter of the way through. It's 50 pages. And I did that in like an hour. It's a very easy read. So I'm enjoying it. It's nice. I don't have to use my brain as much. It's nice to have maps on most pages, because the author puts in maps of where he went, where he stayed, and I love maps. I'm a geographer, so that's what I do as my profession, and it's something that I just love doing. And so whenever I see books with maps, that's why fantasy is one of my favorite, because maps are such an important part of it. But this book just has a lot of maps in it of North America and Canada, and it also zooms in to the minor scales and sort of goes like in national park maps and stuff like that. It's amazing. I'm loving this book. A lot of people recommend it. A lot of people know of it. So if you haven't read it, I'd say just take a shot at it. Watch the movie first, see if you're interested to learn about the real story. So I've heard that the movie takes a lot of creative liberties, but for the most part, it's pretty accurate. But once I finish that, I want to try and finish that today. But if I don't, that's okay. But if I do finish it, the first book that I want to read this week is going to be a reread. And I alluded to it earlier when I was talking about Ian, but I want to restart Malazan Book of the Fallen with Gardens of the Moon. It's one of my favorite books, favorite book ones ever. It's just so deep and amazing, so intricate, so complex, and I had no idea what was going on in this book the first time I read it. And the second time I read it was, because the first time I read it, I only got through half of the book. Once I got to Darujistan, I got very overwhelmed. I was 16, maybe 17 at the time. And I ended up dropping it. And I was like, man, I love that book. But like I was just in over my head. And that's how I feel now with Worlds of Light and Shadow. So that's why I'm rereading Gardens of the Moon. And I never did reviews for the first 7 books of Malazan on my channel. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. I was on hiatus. But I do deeply regret not doing that. And I'm really excited to get back into this. I want to try and get like a book maybe, when I do the review. That way it's not just me talking to the camera. I don't like doing this. But I really love talking with other people about books. So I'm going to try and see if I can get a few of my friends in the BookTube community to sort of visit, like, for a discussion. I'll have to ask them, but I hope they're open to it because I think that'd be really fun, but I understand if not. But if I don't finish that, if I do finish that this week, or I'm not really as much in the mood to continue it and just need a break, I do want to get started on book 4 of the Rainwild Chronicles, which is Robin Hobb's 4th series in the Realm of the Elderlings, I guess, magnum opus, and the big series. But this is Blood of Dragons, which is book 4, as I just said. But I love book 3. Book 3 was right back to the quality that I was expecting from Robin Hobb. And I'm just so excited to sort of continue this, and I'm not excited at all to get into the final trilogy, because I don't want to finish this. I don't want to know how the end of Fitz's story is, because I've heard that the final series is very emotional, and Tawny Man made me sob a lot in the final book, and so I'm very hesitant to start it, but I know I need to start it, because I want to finish it. I want to have that under my belt as a honor, because I finished a lot of major series at this point. Realm of the Elderlings, Walls of Light and Shadow. Those are really the final big series that I have left on my list. And after that is just more vibes that I'm going for. But yeah, I'm really excited for this week. Life has not been going well at all, but I keep persevering. One Piece has been very helpful in that regard. But I want to thank everyone for supporting, for watching the video, for commenting if you want to. And I really hope you guys are having a great day. And thank you again.